There have been many talks in recent weeks about this new proposal with slight amendments coming from the American representative of Donald Trump in the region, Stephen Witkoff. Steve Witkoff already had several proposals previously that were, of course, more in line with the Israeli position rather than the Palestinian position. The Palestinian side already accepted multiple ceasefires that Israel broke. The previous American president declared at one point that Benjamin Netanyahu accepted a deal. Then later on, Benjamin Netanyahu took a step back. And now Donald Trump declared that Israel is agreeing on a 60-day ceasefire and that they are waiting for Hamas's approval. From a Hamas perspective, they didn't come with an outright rejection of the proposal. They were just asking for a clear path to end the war. This is not a very big demand. This is a very basic demand. The Palestinians inside of the Gaza Strip deserve security, deserve certainty, and deserve basic human rights just like any other human being. Any sort of attempt to downgrade the needs of the Palestinian people is a dehumanization of the Palestinian people. That's something that we have been victims of for a very long time. Dehumanization. As if, the Palestinians are not really entitled to the human rights that everyone should be entitled to. And that happens through multiple ways, by the way. One of them is demonizing them, labeling them. And another one, which is very common, not talking about what happens to the Palestinian people. That's the best way, Don't talk about what happens in Gaza. Don't talk about, how they're treated or have been treated for a very long time. So, from a Hamas perspective, they want to get something that will end the war. Fair requirement, but Benjamin Netanyahu is still not entirely happy with that. But Benjamin Netanyahu, in a recent report that came from the Israeli Broadcasting Authority, spoke about him and the Israeli Foreign Minister, Israel Katz, working on a formula to get rid of the Hamas after they have a ceasefire. Now, what does that mean? That means a few things. Number one, it's a confirmation that they can't be beaten despite all of the propaganda and talk in front of the cameras. That doesn't mean anything. Secondly, that for the first time, Israel is open to a solution where Hamas would be there, even if Israel declares that they're not there, whilst trying to get rid of them and get them outside of the scene, inside of the Gaza Strip after there is a ceasefire. And of course, that's why this report in the Israeli Broadcasting Authority wasn't made public, and the people who spoke about this stayed anonymous. They did not really specify who they were, but according to sources overlooking the situation, this is what the Israeli Foreign Minister and Prime Minister are looking for. And that's in complete opposition to the statements that came yesterday from Benjamin Netanyahu when he said that Hamas is over and there will no longer be any Hamas inside of the Gaza Strip. So Benjamin Netanyahu, in effect, now is stuck in a situation where he has two options. The first option is say no to Donald Trump. If he says no to Donald Trump, he's going to be in a very difficult position. Both of them are egoistic, psychopathic maniacs with many issues, personal and mental issues. And the second option is for him to please go ahead with the right-wing elements in his government. So saying no to Donald Trump, accepting what they say, or accepting what Donald Trump says or wants, which is a ceasefire, and risking his government. For some reason, Benjamin Netanyahu is still not entirely comfortable in getting rid of his current government, because recent polls in Israel showed that he can get up to 50 mandates if there were elections tomorrow. That's 11 shy of forming a government in Israel. So unless there's an outright deal, and Netanyahu's representatives are working on such a deal between him and new political parties, for example, there could be a chance of Benjamin Netanyahu calling for an early election. But saying no to Donald Trump could be very problematic for various reasons. Number one, Donald Trump held a grudge for years against Benjamin Netanyahu when the latter congratulated Joe Biden after he won the elections that Donald Trump disputed in 2020. It took Netanyahu several years to gain back the communication from Donald Trump and a level of relationship that they're at the moment. And then Benjamin Netanyahu is seeing what Donald Trump is doing with Elon Musk, a man who supported him with $350 million US, and how ugly that got now with him pushing for certain moves in the government that affect electrical cars, that would affect Elon Musk directly. And there are also talks about even expelling Musk from the United States. So from Netanyahu's perspective, he knows very well that pushing the limits and boundaries of Donald Trump, again, despite the dynamics, of course, of that relationship and the Zionist lobby effect, the fact that Israel may well have blackmail material against Donald Trump, that's what's forcing him to make certain positions or take certain stances towards Israel, contrary to what the MAGA movement wants inside of the United States. Let's not forget that in the rallies of Donald Trump, people were saying genocide, Joe, opposing genocide. People were saying, we don't want any interference in global matters. We want to focus on the United States. We don't want to be the police of the world, and we don't want to participate in any wars. And Donald Trump always used to promise them these things. All of that is important, and these people form a large base of Donald Trump, despite the fact that there are, of course, radical fundamentalist Christian Zionists inside of the Trump administration and of those who surround him too and support him, that wouldn't mind going for the end of day scenario with Israel. Because at the end of the day, the United States administration, it has many key figures who are fundamentalist Christian Zionists with end of days beliefs, and they would support Israel till then. Pete Hegseth is a man who wrote a book called American Crusade or American Crusader. So you have people with radical religious views inside of that administration, and that's not something that many people speak about. And people need to understand that very well to understand what is shaping the foreign policy of the United States and what is causing the United States to make these positions towards Israel and against the Palestinian people. There are religious beliefs behind that. That's not something that should be denied. That's something that needs to be very clear. And the people in the administration, they speak about that very clearly. Now, that's in relation to the ceasefire. So from Hamas' perspective, they need assurances that there's going to be an ending to the war. Benjamin Netanyahu has a lot of pressure to accept what Trump wants from him. But also he has a lot of pressure internally that could risk his coalition.